for reference?
No. As a matter of fact, they were having some issues with that, and that's why Funimation ended up getting it, right? So what they did, they wanted us to sound like the original Japanese. And One Piece, Usopp is the one character that, if you don't like the way I do it, I don't care. Because the way this was cast was completely different than any show I've ever been on. They had Funimation do the auditions in Dallas. Funimation took the top 10 voices for each character, sent those recordings to Japan, and Oda, creator of the series, and his company, they sat around and listened to those, and they decided who was going to be cast in the American cast, because they said, we're going to get it right this time. And so if people tell me they don't like the way I do Usopp, I go, I don't care. The creator of the series says that's what he hears in his head. So yeah,
that's definitely a rarity, but you know,
I've never done it before
when
or
kids
since.
cock that show so bad, I see why they'd be so cautious.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, a lot of things they did, you know, they had to do because of certain restrictions on television.
It was a
and stuff
mistake,
like that.
from what I hear. Like they were just like, oh hey, you've given us a whole bunch of other shows, and here's this other show that's really popular here. Then they watch it, and it's like, oh crap.
Well, they were still going off the philosophy too, and Funimation used to do this as well. That you should try to Americanize this because the American kids won't understand it if it's in the purely Japanese presentation, which we found out years ago was wrong. But 4Kids hadn't learned that lesson yet.
They never did.
Right, but if you look at the old Dragonball Z, I mean, it's really Americanized, you know. I think it was, you got to credit Justin Cook. You guys know who he is?
Yeah.
He, one of his shows, he started off Yu Yu Hakusho. That's the first show he directed, right? And that's really where he cut his teeth. But where he really shined was when he did Fruits Basket. And if you guys have not seen Fruits Basket, it's really brilliant and probably one of the best dubs you could hear. I remember he came up to me at a convention and said, have you seen Fruits Basket yet? And I'm like, no, it's not my kind of anime. And he's like, really? And he went and got a stack of them and said, here, I want you to watch these. And this is before he was a producer, so I didn't really have to listen to him. But I said, okay, I'll watch them. So I sat down with my wife and daughter, and we watched the entire run in one sitting. We just couldn't leave it. It was just so good. And I was like, oh, because I didn't get where he was, like all of us who didn't get where he was coming from, because he was not doing it in an American way. It was very tonal, you know, the deliveries were in a certain, I don't even know how to describe it, but he's a musician, so you could see what he was working with. But when we saw it played back, it was like so beautiful, you know, and so Japanese. And yet it was with American accents, you know. Well, I was directing a lot of the Lupin the Third movies at that time, which was very American anyway, so I don't have any trouble with it. But all the directors were actually called in for a meeting. And we were told, and Justin wasn't there. I was like, where's Justin? I was like, he's not going to be at this meeting. And he said he didn't want to come. Why he didn't want to come is because they were saying that his show is an example of how not to do anime. He says, we are here to do an American cartoon, you know, so we have to do it in American style. Well, it wasn't 2 months later that the reviews came out for Fruits Basket, and they were so glowing and so like, this is how anime should be, right? That suddenly Funimation changed their tune on it. And then within a year, Justin Cook became the main producer at Funimation. So I mean, I really would love to have been in the meeting that came after they told him not to do it that way, and saying, hey, you really did a good job. I think it would have been an interesting thing to sit in.
I would have been like, huh? What's that?
Must have been. Because, like I said, he's in a really great position now. But I really credit him. Now, Chris Sabat, also I credit a lot for the quality level. I really don't... when the show first started out, I mean, there was a lot of flailing in the dark, you know, and a lot of people who had never done anything like this before. But Chris Sabat at the time was just the assistant director. But when Barry Watson left, he became the main director of Dragonball Z. Chris Sabat did, and Chris comes from actual training on stage. He was actually in the opera. He was an opera major. And when he took over, suddenly the quality of the line reads went way up, you know. But we were still trying to stay in this as Americanized as possible philosophy. And then when Justin Cook took over doing that show, Fruits Basket, suddenly we hit a high watermark. And then right after that, we did FMA, and we actually, for the first time, started getting approval from the purist. You know, actually, some people saying that we actually kind of like this one better than Japanese. I've never heard that before. You know, but that's the only show I'd ever heard that on. And we won at the Anime Awards the best cast that year. So we realized, okay, we're doing something right now. But you know, when 4 Kids took over doing One Piece, I think they were still in the old philosophy of let's make this.
Alcon, it was all him.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, after he left, we started getting subbed episodes for Yu-Gi-Oh! And Sonic X on YouTube.
It usually is one person who has this idea in their head about the way things should be, you know. But I really like One Piece now. It's a good show. Yeah.